Hello. So the last video I made was about the unions taking up the transgender issue and my suspicion that there's something funny going on with the transgender issue and the Palestine march issue and a whole load of other stuff. And then the one before that was about Ofcom, the semi-governmental Ministry of Truth that had made life so difficult for Gab that they decided not to be available in Britain anymore. And then the one before that was about the Columbia University, wasn't it? And the terrifying malleability of the students there. Altogether, the past 3 days were sort of pretty miserable type of news. And I felt a bit guilty about uploading the unions thing because that's more miserable type news. And it is Easter after all. And I felt that maybe I should do something hopeful for Easter because after all, that's what Easter is about, isn't it? It's about hope and renewal. I'm going to say something nice in celebration of Easter. And what I'm going to be doing is talking about a little section in my last video where two girls were having an argument with a really stupid teacher. Okay, I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on not Twitter, x.com. I'm on YouTube, Rumble and Minds. I'm also on Gab and BitChute, but because they're effectively banned in the UK, you'd need a VPN to see that if you're in the UK. To all my viewers in America and Australia and probably Germany and Korea and all the rest of it, I think you're all right there. Okay. Right, well, the video I made about the unions featured a little section in which a teacher was berating two of the pupils, 13-year-old girls, in the class because they were not buying the 100 gender type of message that the teacher apparently thought was appropriate for 13-year-old girls. And the whole situation was really quite disturbing when you saw what sort of a person that teacher was and how she really logically did not have a leg to stand on and ended up just telling the girls she was going to report them to the authorities. A ridiculous person, and I do hope that she's no longer in the teaching profession, but I have a rather depressing thought that she probably is. However, what impressed me was the girls. Despite all the nonsense they must get every day, not only from that teacher, but from other teachers as well in the same school, and the shallow stupidity of the British education system now, those girls were thinking for themselves. They had their own opinions, and they were content with sticking to those opinions. No, they were determined to stick to those opinions. And what the teacher was saying to them just, ran off their backs. That gives me a lot of hope, of course. There will be some kids there who will swallow what the teacher says, or maybe not swallow it, but just parrot it anyway. But those girls, they stuck to their guns. And, 13-year-old girls in a class, teachers standing up there, towering over them probably, that requires a certain amount of courage. I doubt I would have had the courage to do that when I was 13 years old. So the kids had brains. They obviously had good parents as well, the sort of parents who would encourage them to think for themselves. And the result was that they actually showed that ridiculous propaganda, while it might appear to get general acceptance, actually doesn't work. I have frequently spoken about Iran as a very good example of that. For the past, 40 years, the Iranians, 40 years, the Iranians have been subject, that's a couple of generations now of children. They've gone to school, they've had, death to America lessons in their nurseries. They get religious broadcasts all the time. The only people who turn up on the mainstream media in Iran are following the Islamist, the Shia cleric, the political Islam line. And yet they still have enough gumption and thought for themselves to resist it. Obviously, there are some who don't. But when you've got the children of children who were brought up in this, and they still are not convinced, where the imams complain that people aren't turning up at mosque and those who do are turning up less and less, and mosques are being closed all over the place because people just aren't going there. I mean, it's not that I'm glad that religion is going. It's that the sort of religion that they have cooked up for Iran, all enveloping as it is, the Iranians are not buying it. And that strikes me as astonishing. It says something about the Iranian people. I mean, for instance, the people who call themselves Palestinians, they bought into that. Hook, line and sinker. They're thoroughly brainwashed. They took that narrative on. The Iranians didn't. That is amazing and so much to be admired. But it shows that with a certain sort of person, you cannot convince them that they love Big Brother. And that they might keep their thoughts to themselves if it's too dangerous, but they're not convinced. They can see through it, even with all the programming that they're subjected to as children and teens and young adults and university students and, people out in the world earning their living. I am so impressed with the Iranians and obviously with the British people, because look at those girls. They are our future. And in their case, the future is very bright indeed. Whatever they do in the rest of their lives, they're heroes. And they're heroes because they're exercising a superpower, their brains, fully exercising it. Much to be admired. I think they're marvellous, those kids. And, of course, I think they're marvellous because they give me hope for the next generation. Okay, well, happy Easter. A happy and a blessed Easter, everyone. And let's think that despite there are so many things that you can be depressed about, glimmering through that darkness are those kids. And many like them, I assume they're not that unusual, who are not brainwashable. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.